Headlines of VTV News. 69th anniversary of Vietnamese Doctors' Day celebrated. Traditional offshore net fishing in Vietnam explored. And later on in our world news, Israel agrees to halt military activity over Ramadan.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello and welcome to VTV News, brought to you live from Hanoi. You're with me, Lina Pham, and here's the top news of the hour. On the occasion of the 69th anniversary of Vietnamese Doctors' Day, the party's Central Communication and Education Commission and the Ministry of Health organized a program to honor health workers and awarded the 6th Unsung Sacrifice Writing Contest on Monday. State President Võ Văn Thưởng attended the event.
Praising the contributions of health workers, the state president affirmed that the party and state always place people at the center of development, and caring for and improving people's health is one of the important tasks and top priorities of Vietnam's development policy. He affirmed the importance of soon completing policies and laws to establish a professional and safe working environment for doctors and nurses. He hoped every health worker will explore and approach new methods and knowledge, and focus on training the next generations of medical staff members. He expected that they will set new visions and goals to make Vietnam among the top countries in the region.
The journey of treating diseases, saving lives, and caring for people's health has no end. The hardships of the healthcare profession require doctors, nurses, and health workers to always remember the Hippocratic Oath, be persevere, strive harder in all aspects, improve their knowledge, and ensure their virtue and prudent behaviors. I believe that the staff of the health sector will always be united and creative, joining hands for the cause of caring for, protecting and improving people's health, continuing to be a great source of inspiration, and bringing faith and hope to patients and their families.
On this occasion, the state president and other leaders awarded authors who won high prizes in the Unsung Sacrifice Writing Contest and honored health workers with outstanding contributions to society. The state leader praised journalists for spreading good stories, enhancing people's belief in good things, and raising people's awareness of the hardships and sacrifices of doctors and nurses who are sincere and devoted friends to patients and their families.
On Tuesday morning, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính hosted a government meeting to discuss lawmaking in February, covering 11 important topics. These include 6 proposed laws: the law on people's air defense, the revised law on management and use of weapons, explosives, and support tools, the amended law on cultural heritage, the law on geology and minerals, the law amending certain articles of the law on standards and technical regulations, and the law on pharmacy. The government also discussed 4 proposals to develop the law on diplomatic level titles, the amended law on aviation, the revised law on railway, and the law on digital technology industry. The Prime Minister stressed that the lawmaking process should aim to remove difficulties and obstacles encountered in practice, cut administrative procedures, and create favorable conditions to foster production and business, freeing up resources for national development. At the meeting, the Prime Minister also extended congratulations to the health sector on the 69th anniversary of Vietnamese Doctors' Day. Minister of Foreign Affairs Bùi Thanh Sơn has called on countries to support Vietnam's bid for re-election as a member of the United Nations Human Rights Council UNHRC for the 2026 to 2028 tenure. Leading a Vietnamese delegation to the UNHRC's 55th session in Geneva on February the 26th, the minister also reaffirmed Vietnam's priorities if re-elected, including protecting vulnerable groups, promoting gender equality, embracing digital transformation, and upholding human rights. At the 56th session of the UNHRC in June, Vietnam will propose an annual resolution on ensuring human rights in the face of climate change. According to the minister, Vietnam has submitted its national report under the Universal Periodic Review UPR mechanism for the fourth cycle, with nearly 90% of the recommendations received in 2019 being fulfilled. Vietnam plans to regulate payment procedures in the stock market for foreign investors. This is an important measure to convince FTSE Russell to consider upgrading the Vietnamese stock market from a frontier market to an emerging market. This is expected to attract huge capital flows into the country.
Vietnam is expected to attract about $2.5 billion if the stock market is upgraded. Securities companies believe that the bottleneck related to 100% deposit for foreign investors can be removed. Instead, there should be regulation to stipulate the non-margin to equity ratio.
The deposit amount can be $12 million to $40 million per day for each securities company, so it's easier to calculate the total amount of the market. The possibility of losing payment capability for small portfolio over equity is almost zero.
If the transaction is successful, but foreign investors have not paid enough money, securities companies can use proprietary trading to complete the transaction.
After securities companies finish depositing, investors can pay those companies later.
To ensure the obligations of the parties, 16 banks which are depository members in Vietnam take the role of depositing, preserving, and transferring securities to foreign investors.
We are managing a large amount of assets of foreign investors, so we're willing to act as a bridge to ensure the fastest progress and smoothness of payments.
In order to upgrade the market, the State Securities Commission of Vietnam and market members have prepared solutions. However, regulations need to be adjusted and supplemented to implement them.
Some articles of Decree 155 and some guidance circulars of the Ministry of Finance need to be amended. We hope to submit and amend them as soon as possible to limit risks and ensure transparency on the market.
Upgrading the market will help Vietnam meet global financial market standards and attract more capital inflows, thereby realizing the target of stock capitalization reaching 100% of GDP by 2025.
On Tuesday, Simmons Group and Ho Chi Minh City High-Tech Park signed an agreement on strategic cooperation for the development of high-quality human resources in the field of electronics and semiconductor integrated circuits, or IC. Siemens has strengths in providing design software. Ho Chi Minh City High-Tech Park will coordinate with this group to organize training activities on circuit design, printed circuit boards, and semiconductor IC products in 2024. So, along with the previous American corporations Synopsys and Cadence, the Ho Chi Minh City High-Tech Park signed a memorandum of cooperation with 3 partners who account for 80% of the world's market share in circuit design automation. The 13th Conference on Trade, Investment and Tourism Promotion for the Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, or CLV Development Triangle, held in Attapeu, a province in Laos, on February the 27th. At the conference, the Vietnamese Ministry of Planning and Investment revealed the data that the 110 projects of Vietnam and their registered value of over $3.7 billion in the Lao and Cambodian provinces in the triangle account for more than 24% and 44% of Vietnam's total projects and investments value in the other 2 countries respectively. They consist of 65 projects worth over $2 billion in Laos and 45 projects worth nearly $1.7 billion in Cambodia, according to the NPI. It noted that the Vietnamese projects concentrate on industrial tree cultivation, construction, mining, and hydropower. Total export turnover of agricultural, forestry, and fishery products in January reached $5.14 billion, up nearly 80% year-on-year. These are great signals from import markets and partners. Enterprises face obstacles in maintaining production momentum and improving finished product quality, while resources have not recovered. Therefore, assessing credit capital is essential at the moment.
This enterprise was granted a loan of $8.1 million last year. This year, the bank agreed to extend the company's credit by 10%.
The bank has offered us preferential loans, which supports us a lot.
However, some seafood factories have experienced decreased export orders and increased inventories, making it difficult for credit institutions to lend money to them.
The total outstanding loans for the fisheries sector in the southwest region is over $1.2 billion, accounting for 15% of the Delta's total. Farmers and enterprises should promote high-tech application to ensure sustainability. We've organized seminars to connect banks, enterprises, and associations to learn about and address difficulties for enterprises.
The State Bank has pledged to continue to drastically deploy solutions for priority sectors and growth drivers of the economy. Mekong Delta localities have fostered trade promotion to China and ASEAN in order to reduce inventory and help businesses quickly overcome difficulties and regain growth momentum. Thus, more credit capital will be granted to businesses.
Coming up next, Vietnam-Cambodia Friendship Monument inaugurated in Svay Rieng. And traditional offshore net fishing in Vietnam explored. You're watching VTV News. A Vietnam-Cambodia Friendship Monument was inaugurated on February the 27th in Svay Rieng Province, about 100 kilometers to the southeast of Phnom Penh. This is the 18th monument completed under the project to build 23 Vietnam-Cambodia Friendship Monuments across Cambodia. Speaking at the inauguration ceremony, Samdech Men Sam An, Vice President of the Cambodian People's Party, CPP, Chairwoman of the National Council of the Solidarity Front of Development of the Cambodian Motherland and Chairwoman of the Cambodia-Vietnam Friendship Association, laid stress on the sound neighborliness between the two countries, who stood shoulder to shoulder with each other to overcome formidable challenges in various stages of the history to gain peace, territorial integrity, and development, and contribute to peace, cooperation, prosperity, and economic development in the region and the world. 26 provinces and cities across the country held military handover and reception ceremonies to see off young men leaving to perform military service and police service. All localities ensure 100% military delivery targets. Each recruit receives high-quality training. Many new recruits are party members with university or college degrees. Many female citizens volunteered to join the army.
In their new military uniforms, the boys and girls in Ho Chi Minh City are full of pride on the first day. For new recruits in difficult circumstances, the city supports savings books and continues to implement military rear policies.
I feel very happy when my parents encouraged me to join the army. I was determined to complete my military service well to make my parents proud.
In Tuan Quang Province, the majority of young people enlisting in the army are children of ethnic people. More than half of new recruits volunteer to join the army. All are determined to set out to fulfill their sacred duty to the motherland.
This is an honor for me to wear a soldier's uniform and practice my bravery to become a better person. It will be difficult, but I promise I will get through it and I will make it.
The quality of young people who joined the Army this year on all 3 military delivery days was higher than all 3 criteria: age, educational level, and health. Many outstanding young men were honored and proud to join the party right before their enlistment.
From the reception to the stage of encouraging the soldiers, we guide the soldiers from the smallest activities to make them feel secure.
The journey ahead will be meaningful days for young people to strive and fulfill their youth's duties and responsibilities to protect the motherland.
Over 50 young doctors have volunteered to work in underprivileged areas in the Mekong Delta through a unique program at Phie University of Medicine and Pharmacy. This initiative primarily aims to enhance the doctor's skills and experience, addressing the issue of insufficient specialist doctors in local and remote areas.
These young doctors hail from various parts of the Mekong Delta but share a common thread. They have all chosen to forego job opportunities in urban areas. They volunteered to work in public health in the most disadvantaged areas, including remote and border regions, and the islands of the Mekong Delta.
I believe I have a duty and responsibility to take care of people. I'm doing my best to learn, and then I will return to my hometown to serve the locals.
My hometown faces several disadvantages in terms of facilities, and the people are still poor. So I want to learn something that I can use to return and help people in the region. It's more meaningful that way.
These young doctors not only possess the qualities of a good doctor, but are also striving to achieve their goals. They are diligently expanding their knowledge and honing their skills to meet the demands of a local healthcare worker.
They have demonstrated their desire to learn, proactively check on patients, and practice to hone their skills. It's all to master their profession and work as independent doctors after graduation.
Through this training project, the Ministry of Health aims to enhance the professional qualifications of doctors in these areas. In doing so, doctors can optimally utilize the medical equipment and tools available at the facility, thereby providing improved healthcare services to people in rural areas.
An award ceremony was held in Ho Chi Minh City on Monday night to recognize the exceptional medical achievements of the Vietnamese health sector in 2023. The Vietnam Medical Achievement Award for 2023 aims to showcase technological applications and innovative healthcare efforts in patient care. The award not only inspires medical workers to innovate in the health sector, but also honors the healthcare workforce for their dedication to caring for and assisting patients. Among the oldest fishing professions in the southern seas of Vietnam, the traditional offshore net fishing now only exists in a few localities with a relatively small numbers of fishermen participating. Fishermen plant rows of pillars made of large bamboo trees deep into the seabed. On those pillars, fishermen build shelters and spread nets to catch fish. People here also say that this is the most dangerous profession in the waters of the Mekong Delta. One's death may be one's destiny. However, despite the dangers, there are still families who maintain this profession both to make a living and to keep tradition. The following report is made in My Long village, Trà Vinh province.
Lawmaking Dien, a fisherman in My Long, has been doing this job for more than 30 years. Today is the day Dien goes out to collect fish at the offshore nets, about 15 nautical miles from the mainland, which means nearly 30 kilometers.
Every year I only fish at the offshore nets ground from March to September of the lunar calendar. During the other months, the sea is very rough and we cannot set out. This profession is the career of our grandparents since ancient times.
While waiting for Dien and the ship to go out to collect fish, Lawmaking Phuc, Dien's brother, immediately prepared to collect the nets. On each row of pillars are small huts large enough to shelter 2 to 3 net keepers. The only means of moving back and forth between huts is rope. In this offshore profession, the hut keepers have the hardest time and are also the most vulnerable.
I go out to guard the hut twice a month. Each time I stay in the hut for 7 to 10 days.
The unexpected storm prevented the ship from getting close to the huts to collect the net. All they could do at that time was to sit and wait.
The wind is very strong up here. The hut could collapse. When it collapses, I'm sure to drift away.
If the weather is calm, there are fish. If the sea is rough, we can't catch fish. This job depends on the weather. I have to follow the weather.
After more than 3 hours of anxious waiting, the waves finally calmed down and the sea became gentle. Tonight is the night of successful net collection for the whole team. These small shrimp are purchased in large quantities by animal feed processing factories at high prices.
If the sea is calm, this profession also gives a good income. This is a traditional profession, so I will do it until I no longer have enough strength. My son will continue this profession.
Fishermen doing this job always face the hot sun and strong wind. They even bet their lives when the sea is rough, but they all love the sea and consider it their home.
After COVID-19 pandemic, Vietnamese tourism gradually recovered, but the number of international visitors in 2023 only reached 70% compared to 2019. The Prime Minister recently issued Directive number 8 on comprehensive, rapid and sustainable tourism development, which requires improving policy mechanisms and promoting the attraction of international visitors.
Before the COVID-19 pandemic, European tourists accounted for 30% of the total number of visitors of this travel agency. But for the past 2 years, most visitors are from North America. Directive number 8 of the government proposes to pilot long-term, multiple-entry visas to attract high-end visitors from target markets such as Europe, Northeast Asia, North America, India, and the Middle East.
Tourists from high GDP countries come to Vietnam are a very good source of economic benefit.
Currently, Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, Cambodia, and Indonesia are providing a special type of visa to attract wealthy visitors from around the world to stay long-term and spend high amounts of money. According to some travel agencies, there is a trend of retired tourists choosing Vietnam as a long-term stay destination.
We have groups of retired guests returning to Vietnam 2 to 3 times. We hope to expand this policy in the near future.
A breakthrough in the visa policy proposal praised by the business community is to consider piloting the issuance of border gate visas on the basis of on-site personnel approval for international tourists. It is expected to increase profits and gradually turn Vietnam into an international transfer hub in the region.
This is a very strong policy that many countries have applied to make it very convenient for visitors to come.
Research is needed to propose a flexible visa for a certain period of time with conditions. Thus, the unilateral visa exemption extension not only applies to nationalities but also depends on the type of product.
Last August, Vietnam increased the stay period for international visitors to 45 days. Therefore, the international visitor target of 12.6 million visitors was achieved. This year's goal is 18 million visits.
Coming up next in our world news, Israel agrees to halt military activity over Ramadan. And Hungary approves Sweden's NATO membership. U.S. President Joe Biden has just announced that Israel has agreed to halt military activities in the Gaza Strip during the Muslim holy month of Ramadan, according to a draft proposal to a ceasefire agreement being negotiated. President Joe Biden expressed hope that there will be an official ceasefire early next week. According to the draft proposal, all military operations will cease for 40 days. Hospitals and bakeries in Gaza will be repaired, and 500 trucks carrying aid will enter the area every day. The draft also states that Hamas will release 40 Israeli hostages, while Israel will release about 400 Palestinian prisoners. This year's Ramadan is expected to start on the evening of March the 10th and last until the evening of April the 9th. The Hungarian parliament on Monday approved Sweden's application to join the NATO, paving the way for Stockholm to join the alliance after nearly 2 years of intense negotiations. The vote was passed with 188 votes in favor and 6 votes against. The document is expected to be signed by the president of Hungary in the next few days, completing the approval process. After Budapest completes the process of approving Stockholm's NATO membership application, the document will be transferred to the U.S. for further procedures. Sweden will then be invited to join the Washington Treaty to officially become the bloc's 32nd member. The head of the World Trade Organization, or WTO, Kojon Iweala, has warned on Monday that war, uncertainty, and instability are putting a strain on the global economy. She made these comments during the WTO's biennial meeting in the United Arab Emirates. Speaking in the opening session, she emphasized that the multilateral trading system is being attacked and weakened in many places around the world. In the context of geopolitical tensions, conflicts tend to increase. The head of WTO warned that global economic growth this year will hardly reach 3.3%, as previously predicted. This conference will focus on reforming of the WTO's dispute settlement mechanism, establishing regulations in cross-border e-commerce or agricultural liberalization.
Geopolitical tensions have worsened.
London-based startup Entocycle is aiming to show how the process of turning protein-rich bugs into food for chickens and pigs could help fight climate change. At their research center in central London, most of the army of reared flies are turned into insect protein. Insect protein has become a popular alternative in recent years across agriculture and aquaculture as demand for animal feed surges.
London-based startup Entocycle is working on turning these protein-rich black soldier flies into food for farm animals. If farmed industrially, the company says these flies could be the army needed to help fight climate change. Traditional animal foods such as soy have a high carbon footprint. Entocycle founder and chief executive Kieran Whitaker says the flies, in contrast, feed on almost any food waste and are better for the planet.
We cut down rainforests to produce soy, we overfish the oceans to catch fish meal, and then they get turned into protein feed that gets shipped all over the world again to feed the animals. It's incredibly unsustainable. It is the quickest, cheapest, most sustainable insect to farm, and it's a non-disease, non-pest species that's found all over the world.
British entomologist George McGavin says insect farming can produce serious large amounts of protein in a small space and in very little time.
Insect farming actually offers a very viable alternative, and one which is efficient, relatively easy to do, and without any ecological risks that I can see.
Entocycle aims to bring an industrial-level efficiency to insect farming. The company also designs hardware that includes precise measuring devices, robotic arms, and a temperature-controlled setup for breeding insects.
Now let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that's it for this edition of VTV News. Thank you very much for watching. To rewatch our program, you can download VTVgo from App Store or Google Play, or tune in our YouTube channel at youtube.com/VTV4Go. See you again at 3 p.m. local time. Goodbye for now.